ship in my thought. I went through the lockdown. Why do we have to be on our...
All right, everyone. We are here. We are ready to go. We have a somewhat different setup here with some lighting. I hope that makes my face more in focus. And let's talk a little bit about the latest with the Israel and Iran war. Just came out with a new video, as you may have seen. With this, okay. Let's just do that. Oops. Change a few settings here. All right, everyone. You can now ask me any questions you want to ask. I am here to talk about Israel and Iran. Let us go. Probably should have done some of these technical stuff before, but here we are. Wandering Nomad and Benjamin Muse. Have you slept a lot? Yeah, I've slept. I mean, sometimes there are these incoming rockets in the middle of the night that wake you up. So you get this very large alarm, a very powerful alarm on your phone that wakes you up and basically tells you, okay, to make your way towards the shelter. And that way everyone wakes up and goes to the shelter. I don't have a shelter in my apartment. My neighbor has one, so I go in over there. And yeah, that works. In the meanwhile, let us get ourselves a poll here. Start a poll. When will the war end? 1 week, 1 month, 1 year. Okay. All right, we got rid of this. All right. We have started our poll. Let it rip, everyone. Let it rip. So someone says, what is the situation in Israel? I've heard the airport is closed. Everything is pretty normal, or no? Yeah, so airport has been closed so far. There is talk about now opening it, at least for the flights that people, Israelis who are abroad, who are stranded, right? They want to get back home. So to take care of that situation, at the very least. So there's that. Yeah, we've had this situation in the past also with the rockets from Hamas and the last ballistic missile attack from Iran, that the flights, the airport closes down, they stop the flights, and then they do special flights to get the people back from abroad who want to go back to Israel through the national carrier, which is El Al, arrange special flights and all that, and they come. Obviously, like the regular airlines usually don't want to fly in during these times because of the risks. So we're gonna have to stay updated on that. But I can say, where are you now? Wish you're safe. Yeah, I'm in Haifa. I'm safe. We didn't have any rocket barrages today. What we had was last night, today none. And there's an assessment that basically the Iranians are running out of kind of capabilities to launch rockets. But even when they do, it's not doing that much damage. So I don't know if you guys watched the video I just put out. You should really go watch it. That showed the impact, the damage of one strike. But it didn't cause any deaths, that specific one. And it's one of few that made it through. So the assessment is that they've fired around like 450 missiles so far, the Iranians, and 1,000 drones at Israel. None of the drones hit their mark because drones are slower and much easier to intercept. And the ballistic missiles, it's like 20 of them got through or something. Like 5% of the missiles that they launched in Israel made it through Israel's counter-missile capabilities, or were aimed properly, not at open fields, whatnot, and landed in civilian areas, in Tel Aviv, in Haifa, in Petah Tikva. And they did kill, I think it's 6, I don't remember the death toll. I think it's like, wait, let me see. It's less than 20. So there was one deadly night where 8 people were killed. Yeah, I think it's like 14 or day 3, 11. No, it's more. Does anyone have the answer to this? At first, how are you? Are people scared? No, I mean, look, people here are used to this situation because we've had this situation before with Hezbollah and Hamas. So this situation of being under rocket fire, running to shelters and all that we've had. The difference is that these Iranian missiles are a lot more powerful than the Hezbollah and Hamas rockets, as you might have seen in my latest video where the guy there explains. So that's the issue, is that we're basically in the same situation we've always been in, only now the impact of these missiles is more severe. So people are maybe a little bit more scared about that and have more concerns because of that. So this is, a somewhat different situation. But I still think that if you look at what happened early on, where they were firing hundreds of missiles in these big barrages, now they're firing like 5 missiles. Yesterday they fired less than 10 missiles. So they don't have the capability really to harm Israel besides be a nuisance at this point. And the question is, on what conditions the war is going to end? Is Israel going to be able to really take out the nuclear program? Will the US help Israel take out the nuclear program because they have the missiles that can bust through the bunkers, the underground facilities? Is it going to lead to the end of the regime? Is it going to lead to signing a good nuclear deal? Those are sort of the questions, like on what conditions the war ends, because basically Iran can't really do anything at this point. Does Israel have permission from Jordan, Syria, and Iraq when using their airspace? I don't know. You'd have to ask them and their governments. Shia Magdi says, I'm sorry for civilians in countries because of the war and on children especially. Do you think the United States will join in? I mean, that's one of the big questions. I think Trump has a lot of pressure from his isolationist base not to join in this war. So I think for him, it's kind of good in a way that Israel is taking out a potential enemy of the United States, and the US can stand there and say, look, we're ready to negotiate with you guys, Iran, but the longer you wait, the worse the conditions are going to be for you. So I think he's kind of happy to be in that position. That kind of brings me up to basically 3 ways I think this war can end that would be good for Israel and the US. One is that the regime falls, which is not that unrealistic at the moment, meaning Ali Khamenei, the Ayatollah, flees or is killed or replaced or I don't know what, or the regime officials, we've already heard that some of them ran away, that just the regime crumbles and a new government is in Iran that's not committed to pursuing nuclear weapons and Shia fundamentalist Islamic doctrine. So that's one option. The other option is that the nuclear program is just really, really destroyed, which is not the case yet. I know that it's been harmed, but I'm talking about, I don't know, U.S. bunker busters take out the Fordo facility. I don't know. Israeli commandos go in there, dismantle the whole thing. I don't know. But like that, the nuclear program militarily or manually, whatever you want to call it, is just taking such a big hit that it's done, and they don't have that to pursue anymore. I think that would be a condition that Israel would be willing to step down and would be good. And then the third condition, which is I think also kind of realistic, maybe, or more realistic, is that, well, actually it's not, because the Islamic regime will never give up their nuclear program. But basically, because they're on in such a bad situation now, they kind of beg the US for some type of deal, but like a deal that actually makes them dismantle parts of the program and really prevents them from getting weapons. Not like the Obama deal, which was just to kick the can down the road and kind of not accomplish anything, but like an actual deal that really cripples their nuclear capability. I think those are three ways that the war can end. Otherwise, Israel can stop, but I'm not sure it would achieve everything it wants to achieve. Sad thing that people blame and hate normal citizens for the war, even if they don't want the war and only want to live. Yeah, I mean, look, citizens don't make these decisions, right? Also, the citizens of Israel didn't make the decision about the war. The Israeli government gave the get-go, and then the next day we were all under rocket attack, yes? So nobody had a say in the matter. But I think generally there's quite a bit of positivity about it in Israel because it was such a success, and it kind of shows that our biggest enemy, Iran, is really, really weak, and that maybe even we can sort of cripple their ambitions of a nuclear weapon and to dominate the region. Swedish Girl on Adventures has sent a very nice contribution. Thank you so much, Anna. How was it to be in the bomb shelter? Could you get some sleep there? Did you bring a mattress to sleep on? No, because basically we run into the shelter and then you get the updates from the home front command, depending on the reception you have in there, because you don't always have good reception, and then they tell you after the barrage is over that you can leave. So usually you're in the bomb shelter 20 minutes and that's it, and then you're out. So there's no need to actually sleep in the bomb shelter. I think some people who have parents who have apartments, families that have apartments that have a bomb shelter in their apartment, then maybe you can have the kids sleep in there and then it's easy. But like for me, when I was in my parents' place in central Israel, there was a bomb shelter at the base of the building. I wasn't with all the building in there. I'm not going to just sleep in there, right? I'm going to go down, spend the time there until they say you can go out and then leave, right? So I think sleeping in the shelter, unless you have one of those newer buildings where you have a shelter in your apartment, which is a mandate now for newer buildings, yeah? And then you have a bedroom in one of those or a couch there, you can sleep in there and you don't have to get up when there's an alarm or something. If you have that option, fine. But otherwise, you're not going to sleep in the shelter probably. Swedish Girl, thank you for inviting us to this live stream. I was worried about you. I want to know how you've been. Thanks. Purple Cats, how do you deal with the stress of constant war? And thank you again, Anna, for the contribution. Anna is one of my biggest contributors and supporters of the channel, or the biggest probably. So clap hands for Anna for helping keep the channel going. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. So yeah. How do you deal with the constant stress of war? I try not to think about it, and I check on my family in Israel, but it's painful to see, I guess, my people going to war. Yeah, it's stressful, but on the other hand, you kind of know that the probabilities are not that high of getting hit by or getting killed by these rockets. So that kind of is encouraging, I guess, that, I mean, there is a risk and there's always a risk, but it's not like being on the front line as a soldier where you feel much more palpable risk, as I did when I was a soldier. Someone asked here if I served in the IDF, and I did. So then I think like the fear is in you a lot more because you're right there where things are happening, whereas in the back line, it's kind of like, okay, probably you're gonna be okay, yeah? What is the status of everything? How have the rockets been? So early on, they were firing these big barrages of missiles, the Iranians, and now they're firing like much smaller barrages, like 5 missiles, 9 missiles, 10 missiles, like low numbers, which I think has something to do with the fact that they just don't have that many of these, long-range ballistic missiles that can journey 1,500 kilometers in the stratosphere or whatever and reach Israel. And if they want to be able to keep up a trickle of continuing to send the rockets at Israel, they can only fire a small amount at a time. Not to mention the fact that it always exposes their position to be bombed later by Israel. What people don't understand, it's funny because I uploaded that video, right? My video from the site, and I see a lot of people in glee. Oh, look, you bought this on yourself. Look at the damage. Don't start wars. This kind of, and yeah, I mean, those Iranian missiles cause a lot of damage, and for the people there, it's terrible. But all in all, considering the fact that this was supposed to be the arch enemy and the strongest enemy that Israel has, that's equipped with like, a big new army and all that, it's not been that destructive. Israel is taking out all their defenses over Iran. Israel can basically operate freely with the Air Force in Iran, almost like they do in Gaza. There's no resistance there. And they've only been able to kill some civilians here with their ballistic missiles, which is awful, and my heart goes out to the families. Also, anyone in Iran who was killed. I don't want to see people killed on the other side, but as far as if you're looking at it in a dry analytical way of so-called who's winning, then it's clearly Israel, in the sense that they've just taken out all of their anti-air missile capabilities, and the Air Force is just bombing whatever it wants in Iran, which is insane. I mean, we didn't think that such a thing could ever happen, that their defenses would be much more difficult to overcome, that it could be a suicide mission to fly the planes 1,500 kilometers into Iran with refuelers and all those kind of things. It's, the fact that it's a position now where basically the Israeli command can sit and say, okay, we want to target this, that, and just send the aircraft and do it is insane. I don't think anyone in Israel thought, or that they thought, or anyone thought that such an eventuality would be possible. Iran is so far away from Israel. They're on the way, there's Jordan and there's Iraq. It's very far away. And it's, this isn't Hamas or Hezbollah. This is a strong military, a country with 90 million and all that, and they have no defenses left. It's pretty crazy, I think. Kebi says, I watched your video that last time you visited Saudi Arabia. Beautiful video about that wonderful country. Yeah. Hopefully next video will be Iran, I mean, if the Islamic Republic falls and the Shah comes and we have relations again, then I would make a vlog from Iran. I used to laugh about it like something that's completely impossible, but now maybe it's possible someday. I don't know. Swedish Girl on Adventure says, it's so sad that people in both countries are suffering and dying. Hope for peace. Yep, don't we all? Mehmet Erdem says, do you support Netanyahu? I'm not sure exactly what that means. I've never voted for Netanyahu, so I'm not a fan of Netanyahu. But I don't have, I think, like Netanyahu syndrome, as some people have in Israel, which kind of reminds me of Trump syndrome, which is basically the idea that every ill that befalls Israel or the region is all Netanyahu's fault, or that everything, basically like an obsession with Netanyahu. I don't have an obsession with Netanyahu. I think he's way overstayed his welcome as Israeli prime minister, let's put it that way, and we could do better than him. And yeah, but like Iran's goals of spreading the Shia axis across the Middle East, destroying Israel, building nuclear weapons, none of those have anything to do with Netanyahu. So let's just be clear about that. But no, I don't support Netanyahu. What happens if Israel falls? Nothing. Israel's not falling. Iran is saying it completely destroyed Haifa port, any gasoline shortage in Israel. Nah. That's just BS. I mean, they hit it was blocked for censor, so this is a sensitive time because of, we're in a military operation, so they hit like an oil refinery. Now I'm allowed to say it because it's out there, so I wasn't allowed to say it a couple days ago. They hit an oil refinery, 3 people were killed in Israel, and it caused some damage to the refinery. That's it, but it's like not... it's just tragic that 3 people were killed, yeah, but it doesn't have any impact on the Israeli infrastructure. So yeah. Do you think Iranians really want the Shah back? I don't know. Depends who. Like I think most people would agree that under the Shah, Iran was a lot better than what it was under the Islamic Republic. I think they'll be would be happy to go back to that, a lot of them. But, there are still those who support the Islamic Republic, the regime, and I think there are a lot of people who want a democracy in Iran, right? They want representation. The Shah wasn't representation. The Shah is an absolute monarch, yeah? So that's also has its problems in the sense that a monarch is a monarch, and Not everyone wants to be under a king monarch. They want to have representative government. But the Shah might be the most realistic solution. Idan 2, the mod is back. Oh, welcome back. Nomad, do you believe in the Bible? I'm not like very religious, but I think the Bible is it's like a historical, it's a history book, a novel, and a theology book all wrapped into one, and very unique in that sense. And a lot of the things that are described in the Bible, various empires and names of people and stuff, have been corroborated by other sources and by archaeology. Yeah? So I think it's a very valuable source for our historical understanding of the Levant and of the Jewish people. What do you think of the beautiful wedding between the pretty granddaughter of the former Iranian Shah and the handsome American Jewish businessman? Yeah, I saw some pictures of that. You know, that's fine. Like in the US, lots of the Iranians and the Jews have good relations. And, you know, that's fine. I mean, if you go into the Iranian neighborhood in LA, the one that I went to, when I made that video, I can't visit Iran, I did this. I don't know if any of you guys saw that. You should see it. So I went to this Iranian neighborhood in LA, in Los Angeles. And you see there like Jewish Iranians, Muslim Iranians, there were Armenian Iranians, like all the different Iranian Persian peoples are all living there peacefully together. Basically, almost 99% of them anti-regime, right? Anti-Iranian regime. So yeah, let's see if I can get this light to do a little bit more light. No, that's not working. I got like a little light here. It's not the best one. I purposely got a small one that I can pack in my bag if I go travel, but it's not doing a very good job of, only when I next to it, it really creates good light, you know? So that's what happens when you buy cheap stuff from AliExpress, huh? Yeah. Hello, my brother from a mountain Jew from Azerbaijan. Hello, hello. So yeah, I hope you saw my video of the mountain Jews of the Red Village. Greetings from Egypt, Abdul Muhammad. Someone says here the Shah was not good for the people, so maybe the democratic pre-Shah era of Iran. Yeah, that was, I don't know if that was how democratic that was either, but like, look, I believe in democracy, right? So I mean, obviously the best thing for Iran would be to be under some type of proper democracy and have elections and parties, representative parties, and you know, that would be the best, of course. I'm just not sure how realistic that is. And definitely the moments after a regime falls are extremely sensitive, and one dictator can be replaced with another. You know, you could replace Islamic Republic with some other dictator, which would not be great. So I don't know, like I'm not saying I have all the answers. I'm gonna try to get some extra light over here because I see that. Maybe that will, you guys can see me a little bit better. Yeah. Yeah, now it's the light scheme of the light on my face isn't what's going on, but yeah. Oh, see, that's Anna has shared the video I made about the Iranian community in the US, if you want to see that. Snore being much brother, I did watch the video of the mountain Jews. Much love to you and our beautiful Israel. Great. Yeah. So yeah, now it's too bright. Let's, see, I'm so unprofessional with this. I need to find a way of, I need to get like a better live stream setup. I'm just gonna, maybe this will help give a better, maybe that will be a little bit better, but now it's kind of like too bright, yeah? That's the problem. But all right, I think that's okay for now. My reaction world, inflation hit the roof in Iran. Even Iran metro ticket costs double now. Damn, that's crazy, huh? She says, now it's too bright. Yeah, I know. I am aware. What can I do? I'll get a more professional light next time, and hopefully that will solve some of the... Oh, wait a second. You know what? I got an idea. Okay, we changed the lighting a little bit. Tal Oran, the traveling clat, says, absolutely crazy. It's crazy, huh? Good to see you, man. We're gonna get Tal back in Israel soon, and we're gonna do our collabs, hopefully. Yeah. Love you, Tal, traveling clat. Anthony, do you think Israelis feel America is obligated to enter this war? No, I don't know. I don't think Israelis feel the U.S. is obligated. I don't think the U.S. is obligated. I think there's a lot of opposition to, U.S. involvement in the U.S., the isolationists who don't want the U.S. to be involved. And I think it's kind of like, let's say, there's that message out there that basically Israel is destabilizing everything and Israel is causing damage now by doing this, and the U.S. needs to stay as far away as possible. Which I can understand considering the U.S. getting bogged down in all kinds of Middle East issues. But here I just think it's a win-win for the U.S., Iran is an enemy of the U.S. They've said death to America many times. They fund regional proxies also that threaten other countries in the region that are pro-American, like the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, whatnot. All these countries. It would start a nuclear arms race in the Middle East. So I think this is one of your number one enemies. You have a chance to just knock them out completely. I don't see why not to do that. Also, this whole issue of the Americans standing in the world, I don't even think that would take that big a hit because most of the region is anti-Iranian. So it's not like the Saudis and the UAE and the Egyptians are going to be so anti-American now because America took out the Iranian nuclear program, It's just, I just think America's sitting pretty here. They can do nothing and let Israel do it, or they can themselves do the finishing blow, and in both cases they'll be fine. But you have people screaming on Twitter oh, no, war is coming, all the Tucker Carlson, you're dragging us into World War III, you're going to get Americans killed for Israel. And so I don't see any of that happening. I don't see how any of that's going to happen. We don't want to fight Israel's wars, blah, blah. I've never seen an American fight an Israeli war, ever. We have not had once in our history in Israel a bunch of American troops with boots on the ground fighting wars for Israel. It's never, ever happened. And it's not happening now, either. Ibo says Iran is not our enemy. They're our brothers and sisters. I don't know where you're from, Ibo. But yeah, look, I depend what you mean by Iran. The Iranian people are not my enemies. Never been. I've always gotten along well with Iranians from all over the world. So yeah, that's the thing. The problem is that the regime there since '79 has been on a mission regarding Israel to destroy Israel, expand its Shia axis in the Middle East. And that's harmed not just Israel, but also the people in Iran, because they've diverted all these resources for all of these costly ventures that don't help the people, and oppress the people. So I don't want to speak for all Iranians. I know there are some Iranians maybe who support the regime, some Iranians who don't like Israel, but there's also a lot of them who don't have a problem with Israel, but they understand that we kind of have the same enemy, which is this regime, Timia Virgil says, but some interventions were very much needed and turned out okay. See, for example, Nazi Germany or the Serb-Bosnian War. Look, people have a problem with nuance. The world is a world of nuance, yeah? Obviously, the U.S. can't afford to jump nilly-willy into every conflict around the world and, get bogged down in decades-long state building and regime change and whatever it is in different parts in the world. That's obvious. Obviously, the U.S. can't get bogged down in another Vietnam or another Iraq or another Afghanistan. That would be stupid, and I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying here, You don't need to get bogged down in anything. You just need to fly your plane over the nuclear facility and bomb the shit out of it. That's it. Like it doesn't require anything from you. You don't need to put a single boot on the ground to do that. I mean, the other option is to just give Israel the green light to keep doing it and just keep your footprint even further away from the whole thing. But it's like there's just no need here for any scenario of, this isn't something that requires 50,000 U.S. troops storming the beaches of Iran and conscripting. Like, that's not what's going on here. It's just a matter of the skies are open. You can do whatever you want. So, like, if you want to just obliterate the Iranian nuclear program, you can do it. I don't know what damage. I think there's a danger of, like, damage to the surroundings, right? Because it's nuclear isotopes. I don't know enough about that. So that's definitely something you have to take into consideration. Like, you don't want to bomb a nuclear facility and then have like radiation, nuclear fallout, and cause massive harm to Iranian civilians. That would be a disaster. So I don't think you should do that. Experts need to check and see kind of what is the collateral damage of doing such a thing. But in the end of the day, Iran with no nuclear program is the best thing that can happen to Iran, because otherwise they're just going to remain the enemy and going to remain isolated, and they'll never be able to develop. If they put the nuclear program aside and they just pursue their own state building, that's how they're going to have the best future. If they continue to position themselves as the enemy of the US and Israel and like pursuing nuclear program and the proxies in the Middle East, is just going to be bad for them, you know? Many people. I'm trying to see if I change the cameras, because, the thing is already running. I don't know. Whatever. We're going to have to improve the setup another time. It's a bit late in the game for that. This thing over here is not doing its job. Well, what else? Do you not think Iran is going to retaliate? They are retaliating. But, okay, fine. Like, Aiden Murphy has joined as philosopher level member. Thank you very much, Aiden. Iran has retaliated, yeah, with these ballistic missile launches. It just doesn't, it's not a real, it doesn't give them any military advantage, yeah? These ballistic missiles, they're just firing at civilians, but that doesn't make any difference to the war effort, That doesn't protect protect them from Israeli airstrikes or really influence the Israeli decision making here, in my opinion. So I don't think it's making such a big difference. Like, in the end of the day, Israel has basically control of the Iranian skies, can decide what it wants to do, and needs to decide what eventuality it can achieve. Can it bring Iran such to its knees that the regime is replaced? Can it militarily destroy the nuclear program? Or can it force Iran into a deal with the US that really forces them to dismantle nuclear facilities and all those kind of stuff, From the river to the sea, Iran soon will be free. From the Islamic Republic, hopefully. That's my hope. Anyway, Aiden Murphy, welcome abroad to the channel. Really great to have you on board. What does the future of Israeli foreign relations look like? Is Israel on the way to becoming a pariah state? No, I don't think so. They've been saying that for years. I do think the war in Gaza, though, has harmed Israel's standing. Hopefully, when that war is finished, then Israel can start to people can start to, that it will have an impact, that it's not in the news all the time and the images are not in the news all the time. And then I'll see a lot of countries going back to having better relations with Israel, maybe even normalization with Saudi Arabia or something like that. So I don't know. I think It also depends also what happens in the next election. You know what? We have an election in Israel, November 2026, so that's, less than a year and a half away from now. If Netanyahu wins that one also, well, I think that's going to harm our foreign relations. I think we could really use a new prime minister to kind of get a restart with some of these other countries. AG Rebus from the river to the sea, couscous will be free. Have you flown in F-35? No. Benny Gantz, someone asked. Yeah, Gantz, Lapid, Naftali Bennett, maybe someone else from the Likud, I don't know. What do you think of Trump saying we have controlled the airspace after cowardly not getting involved in the war, not doing anything about a nuclear threat against them? I don't know. Like I said, I think Iran is in a situation where, the U.S. is in a situation where it's kind of good for them that Israel is doing the dirty laundry for them. Sort of, they can kind of keep themselves at a distance, keep their hands somewhat clean from the affair, and watch as Israel does significant harm to the military capabilities of a state that is the thorn in the side of all the countries in the region that are pro-American, Saudi Arabia, UAE, and others. So I think it's, wow, this light really has like no power, none whatsoever. That was a failure. All right, I basically look the same now as I did earlier. Elis Karanicolau says, glad you are okay, still well. You're doing a good thing with your videos. Yeah, I'm trying. I mean, this new video definitely got off to a big start, as I expected. My only concern really is that someone in Israel comes and arrests me or something because they're basically giving out orders not to kind of film impact sites and stuff. But that's not really what I did. I mean, it's mostly against people actually filming the rocket landing and then, the immediate aftermath of damage, because then that's kind of information that maybe could be used. What I filmed, I just don't see how the enemy can use that in any way, Like you don't really see the angle of the impact. I filmed it, I uploaded it like 3 days after. I was there a day after. Didn't give any exact coordinates or anything. So I just don't see how anyone can use that information in any way. But, hopefully I don't think I'll get into trouble, but hopefully, I hope I don't get into trouble for it, Someone calls and said, oh, we see you've been sharing information, and whatever. Should be okay. Hopefully it will be okay. So yeah. What else? Do you like scientist Albert Einstein? Yeah, why not? I mean, he contributed a lot to science, theory of relativity, yeah? Glad you're okay. So have you ever been to Serbia? Asks Muhammad. No. I need to do Serbia and Bosnia, yeah? Those are like two countries that I really want to visit. I'm going to do that sometime. Fun fact, Albert Einstein actually lived in Serbia, in Novi Sad, for a year with his Serbian wife. If I come to Israel, will they go through my phone at airport? Probably not. But, I don't know. You could go through some type of serious questioning in Israel if you land in Israel. It's always kind of like that, sensitive in that sense, and now especially. Brian C. has sent a contribution of €6. Thank you very much, Brian. Do you want to ask me anything? I'm here for any question that you may have. Really appreciate your contribution, man. My Reaction World says they check everything. Again, depends who and what. You just gotta, the best thing is just to come with a clean slate. Just tell the truth. Look, I'm just here to visit and whatever. And then even if they want to see your phone, what can you have there already? Betcha Republika Srpska, more like Israel than Serbia. What's Republika Srpska? Is that Croatia or something? Oh, it's Bosnia and Herzegovina, okay. Yeah, gotcha. All right. In my Christian faith, the Jews and Muslims in hell. Okay. Swedish girl says the Serbian part of Bosnia. All right, all right. All right. Anthony, will people like Menville become more prominent in Israeli politics? I don't know. I mean, he's already become more prominent thanks to Netanyahu kind of legitimizing him and bringing him in. Him and Smotrich, like the far right, if we can call it like that, in Israel, they have about 10% of the vote in Israel, so they have quite a bit of influence, but they're not the majority at all. The Gaming Pixel. It makes sense that the U.S. is more cautious after Iraq and Afghanistan, but I think most people can agree nukes don't belong with any country, that it makes open threats against others' existence. Yeah, well, I wish people would see it that way. Like one of the funny things is that the whole Israel angle is kind of clouding people's judgment, right? Because there's sort of an obsession online about Israel, and particularly this narrative that Israel drags the U.S. into wars, and all the problems are because of Israel. So if there's an issue now with Israel and Iran, it's like anything with Iran is caused by Israel, and therefore the U.S. needs to stay away. But it's kind of like a misunderstanding of the Iranian regime. I mean, there's a reason why they backed Assad. They got involved in Lebanon. They got involved in Yemen with the Houthis, Eastern Iraq. They have a lot of ambitions in the region. And regarding the U.S., they say death to the U.S. They put U.S. flags on the ground in universities and people stomp on them. Or they want them to stop. Most of the students walk around because they don't believe in that crap. But just saying that, like, Iran is an enemy of the U.S. That's it, like, full stop. I mean, how capable are they of threatening the U.S.? I don't know. But they're an enemy of the U.S., and if it wasn't for the whole Israeli angle, maybe people would just understand that it's a good thing if they don't get nuclear weapons. It's only a good thing for America and for others. And there's no need to get bogged down in Iraq or Afghanistan like occupation in order to achieve that. Yeah, that would definitely be a disaster. So I'm not saying that there should be American boots on the ground. God forbid. I'm just saying if you have a chance to take out Iran's nuclear program or bring them to their knees and force them to sign a deal, then you should do that. Like that's it. I think it's a good thing for them. Do you speak Farsi? No. I speak some Arabic. Farsi, no. We have some people in Israel who speak Farsi, the ones who were born in Iran or their parents were from Iran. They grew up in that environment. Then there's this Israeli singer, Liraz Chalchi, who she sang a song in Persian back in the day that was popular. Yeah. Serbia is an ally of Iran, one of the few allies Iran has. Really? I didn't know that. Why? Well, maybe because Serbia is like close to Russia, yeah? They're in that sphere of Russia and Iran. That's strange, though. Someone put a Swedish flag and wrote, girl, duh. Swedish girl says no, it supports Israel. I don't know. I don't know enough about Serbian politics to know. Da is yes in... Wait a second. Oh, so you're arguing about who Serbia supports? Yeah, I don't know. Oh, wow, we got another very balanced poll. Do you ever lift weights at the gym? No, usually not. I play tennis and I run. I don't really do... I used to do weightlifting a bit, but... like, my main thing is try to just keep my fat down, Especially when I was traveling. I was eating a lot of bad things. So yeah, and I do some push-ups and things like that. But most of my exercise is the tennis. That's where my exercise comes from. Israel refused to support the 1999 NATO bombing of Yugoslavia, leading to admonishment from the United States. Ariel Sharon criticized NATO's bombing as an act of brutal interventionism. Interesting, okay. Hard Candy says, I'm a tennis coach. I can give you tips. Do you play cricket? No. Bro, I like you, but don't talking about killing Israeli civilians. What do you mean? don't talking about killing Israeli civilians. Like, I'm not talking, should be talking. I need more specifics about that. Do you support Manchester United? I don't support any team really in the Premier League. What an unrelated question, but yeah. Bro, do you like Satan? Why would I? Link says yes, because of Russia. That's why Serbia supports Iran. Swedish girl on adventures has shared some type of video here. What have you heard? Oh, Newsmax Balkans. Interesting. What's this? Oh, is this something about the war in Israel from the Balkan perspective? Oh, whoa. I saw an image in Anna, and the Swedish girl, in what she showed. The image that she showed there is the image from the site that I was at in Haifa. It's the same smashed cars. Ha! That's kind of funny. I'm pretty sure it's that. Yeah. So they literally took the same images that I took. Yep. Haha. That's kind of funny. All right. So I guess the censor won't kill me for won't arrest me for breaking a censor. Do you know of her, Alec? No, I don't. Don't know of her. Mibushi says, I miss Coco Girl. Stay safe. Yeah, I got to meet, see what's up with Coco Girl, do our collaboration. We talked about that a lot. I mean, are you scared? No, look, we've been in this situation before. The rockets now are a little bit more powerful, but it's kind of the same as it's always been. So I can't say I'm scared or that this is some unique situation being under bombardment. We've had it many times before. Someone's asking for the scariest travel experience. I got arrested a couple times. That's scary because then you're basically in the hands of whoever's arresting you. So the authorities are always your biggest danger. So I got arrested in Venezuela. I got arrested in Azerbaijan. Won't go into too much detail, but came out unscathed from both those situations, but they were definitely scary, you know? Yeah. Oh man, why am I feeling so tired? Somebody asked me something interesting. Balkan people love Israel. We in the Balkans say that we are Illyrians, descendants of the Illyrians and God, one of the 12 tribes of Israel. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, all these, there's so many of these like 12 tribes of Israel theories out there and groups out there who believe they're one of the 12 tribes of Israel. You need to visit Africa. We have so many beautiful places in Africa you will love to visit. I was in Africa for 4 months. I made videos from Ethiopia, from Kenya, from Uganda, and from Rwanda. So you should check those out. Yeah. Who's the greatest PM ever? Israeli PM or any PM? In Israel, are more people with or against Netanyahu? I mean, look, he won so many elections. But now, the polls showed him going down post-October 7th. So, yeah, I mean, it'll be a question. We'll see. We'll have an election in a year and a half, and we'll see where Netanyahu stands in that election. Like his polling went down post-October 7th and all the problems we had here. Maybe now with these strikes on Iran and Hezbollah, he might go back up a little bit. I don't know. But it's close. I've heard the most Jews in Africa are in Ethiopia. That's correct. I did something about a video about the Jewish community in Ethiopia that you should check out. Have you been to Suez Canal crossing to North Africa? No, I've been to Sinai, I've been to Egypt, never been to Suez. How often do you go live? It depends. Usually it's like once a week. It can be more, it can be less. Now I've been going live more because of the war. So, yeah. Closest the rocket came to you? I don't know. I haven't had any really close calls with rockets, luckily. Like I've never like had one that actually exploded in my vicinity. I've seen interceptions overhead. I've felt a little bit of the, explosion. How do you say? Ricochet? Not ricochet, but like the air thing that it creates. But that's, even if you're far away, it does that sometimes. So it's like, yeah. Like I'm saying, when there's an interception or a rocket falls far away, sometimes you can see like the pane of the window moving a little bit or something like that. You can feel it or see it. How many rockets you think landed? So according to Israeli news, they fired around 450 ballistic missiles and over 1,000 drones. None of the drones landed in Israel because that's a very slow device that can be easily stopped. Out of the ballistic missiles, they say about 20 landed in Israel, yeah, and caused damage. So, and the amount of people that they managed to kill is higher because compared to the amount of rockets that landed, because they're strong, powerful rockets compared to Hezbollah, Hamas rockets. When were those kind of rockets even invented? What kind of rockets? All I know is that these rockets are they can put a lot of explosives into them because they're pretty big, and they fly like into a higher part of the atmosphere and then come down or something like that. Like they go really far and fast. Yeah, they reach from Iran to here really quickly, as opposed to a flight like or something. So it's like, yeah, I mean, those ballistic missiles, they travel far, they cause a lot of damage, they're very deadly, no doubt. I couldn't imagine living in a place where rockets are an everyday thing. A lot of people must suffer PTSD. Well, it's not. In central Israel, it hasn't been an everyday thing until like recently. Before that, if you lived in the southern border near Gaza, then it was a very often occurrence because they live on the border, and the very basic kind of Hezbollah rockets Hamas rockets, they could just fire them across the border a couple kilometers. Yeah, like mortars, yeah, not even missiles, just regular mortars. And they live with that all the time. WAP says, bro, I like your videos. I think you're a good YouTuber, but you can't talk and complain about Israeli civilians getting killed. Just wouldn't be morally correct, brother. Okay. I mean, I think I can talk about it. I don't know why I can't talk about it. The video I made from today wasn't really about civilian casualties. I didn't talk that much about civilian casualties. I just went to the place to show you guys what it looks like after the impact and kind of what's going on. Now I'm talking about, yeah, we have casualties. If you're referring to the fact that the casualties in Gaza, so we can't like talk about casualties here, I think you can talk about both, yeah? So. My reaction, world says Iran is firing one hypersonic missile with 10 ballistic missiles simultaneously to full Iron Dome. Possibly. I don't know what their strategies are. I definitely know that they have to fire a lot of them at once in order to get through the Iron Dome, right? So that's why you need to fire like 50. And then, even though it's not Iron Dome, we're making a mistake. Just to clarify, Iron Dome, Israel has different levels of anti-ballistic defense, right? So Iron Dome is the lowest level. It's mostly against mortars and kind of like lower level missiles. We have the David Sling and the Arrow system, which is for things that come from, higher up in the atmosphere or high, several kilometers up, I don't know, ballistic missiles and stuff like that. It's a different interception system. Iron Dome can't intercept some of those rockets that Iran is firing. Someone says those kids were doing impressive backflips at the site. Yeah, that was kind of weird because I was like, okay, I'm going to a site now, and then I arrive and I see a bunch of music and a bunch of kids dancing and doing backflips. I'm like, what is going on here? But yeah, that vehicle belonged to a group called Chabad, that they go around and they play music and do happy happy. And they happened to come through just when I was there to like lift people's spirits or something like that. I'm not sure it's appropriate what they did, but it is what it is. And I just showed what I saw. What do you think about the Talmud? I don't know the Talmud well now. I need to make a video. I'm going to make a video about the Talmud at some point. Like go and try study Talmud for a day or whatever. But yeah, it's an endless amount of documents. There's no way to get a grasp on the whole thing. Just no way. Have you been to Oman? No. I wanted to go early on. It was on my agenda. And then kind of didn't happen. Yeah. I hope to go there at some point. Oman's a very cool place, and also I know people got to their vlogs were very, managed to feel some very cool stuff there. So yeah. Do all you can to stay safe. Wow, so we have here a very balanced poll. Are you still going to travel? Yeah, hopefully. I mean, now I can't really travel much because there's no flights out of Israel, which is a problem. Do you get travel inspiration from Drew Binsky? No, not from him specifically, like just in general. Yeah, but I get inspiration sometimes from seeing other bloggers, other vloggers. It's like, oh, you see someone go somewhere, do something cool. It can invigorate you and make you want to go as well to places. Do you think changing the regime in Iran will solve the problems? I think it will solve a lot of problems. I think it will solve a lot of problems. I think the Middle East would look completely different because, for example, Lebanon wouldn't be under the boot of Hezbollah. The Houthis would lose all their backwind over there. Syria now, Iran is out of there as well. I just think the Iranian regime is a bad influence, and they could set up a nuclear arms race, in the region, which isn't good. I also think that from the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, it would be good for Israel because Hamas would lose a lot of their backing also. Like it's like one more big major force in the region that the Palestinians will lose in their war to destroy Israel, which might bring them back to the reality of they have to try to live next to Israel. That's the reality they're always trying to escape. They always live in the dream that one day Israel will disappear, and a regime like Iran, a powerful country like Iran that backs that goal is something that gives them belief that can happen sometime. My Reaction World says Israel has parked all passenger flights in Greece. I don't know if they're all in Greece, but I know that a lot of the flights aren't happening, yeah? That's for sure. Have you ever been to USA, Texas? No. Never been to Texas. Oh, wait. I spent some time in Dallas. After I was in the military, I was working some odd jobs in the US with Israeli companies. And I think I spent some time in Dallas there. That's in Texas, right? Yeah. Spent like 1 month there or something. Just like living in a apartment complex outside Dallas and going around selling paintings. Yeah. Albanian farmer asks if I like Albania. Yeah, why not? By the way, a good friend of mine, the traveling Klat, who was here in the live stream earlier, he's in Albania now. Albanian farmer. Do you have any recommendations where you should go? Let me know, because he asked me. Are restaurants open in Israel? Most of them are not right now. Why does Iran have such hatred for the state of Israel? Is it religious? I would say yeah, because before they were religious, when they were under the Shah, right? So they weren't under religious fundamentalism then. And when that was the case, then they weren't against Israel. So when the Islamic Republic came in, they started this war against Israel. So I definitely think it's a religious fundamentalism in the case of Iran, of the regime in Iran Are you able to get some sleep at night now? Depends how many alert sirens we get in the middle of the day. Denise Sakir says, don't you think religious or nationalistic extremism is the real problem regardless of the country? I don't think people going out enjoying life in any place on earth would want to nuke anybody else. I guess, yeah. For sure, like religious fundamentalism and too aggressive nationalism is always going to be a problem. Because then if you have two sides that are like that, then they'll fight each other over some nonsense. I just... the other day was watching a film on Netflix, All Quiet on the Western Front. I don't know if anyone's seen that one. Based on a famous book written by a German guy who fought in the trenches in World War I. And the film does a good job of just showing that, like all these lives thrown away over, dumb nationalistic fervor and conflicts. Like a waste of life, So I can understand the anti-war sentiment and the anti-nationalist sentiment. I do think, though, sometimes, some causes do have monsters in them. And I think that's kind of the problem that some people today, particularly this isolationist strand in the US, the Tucker Carlsons of the world and whatever, that's kind of the hole in their theory. They're basically them, Dave Smith, these other people. They're like one-trick ponies of, war is bad. Well, we got involved in wars. We shouldn't get involved in wars, and we just have to we have to ignore everything that's going on. And like I call it a one-trick pony because it's an inability to assess different situations and make the adjustments. Like the idea that every country on earth is not a threat to the U.S. unless the U.S. makes them into an enemy by doing ABC. It's like a wrong thinking, I think, Because that's kind of what this mindset says. It says the only reason they would ever be against us or harm us is because of something we did to them, right? So the only reason the Iranians would want to destroy the US, for example, is because we supported Israel or we did this or we did that. So if we isolate, then nobody's ever going to harm us because they have no reason to harm us. It's kind of it's a bit of a wishful thinking, It's the assumption that countries around the world never have bad ideologies or ill will or expansionist goals unless America forces them to have that. Like at some point you got to also see a situation where, you can use your force to change the situation or to force an implacable enemy like Iran into a different situation. Like you can't just ignore them forever and just negotiate with them forever about nuclear weapons, you know what I mean? At some point they'll get a nuclear weapon and then they'll start making more demands because they have that backing, for example. So someone says here, seems you're not even aware of their funny arguments. They're insane. All the wars were because of Israel's demand. These people are just pathetic. We know what their real intentions are. Yeah, so look, that's also the conspiracy theory, right? Element is the 9/11 was an inside job by Israel. So the U.S. could go to war with Iraq. Israel forced the U.S. to go to war with Iraq. Israel did this. It's a variation of the same argument. You know what I mean? It's kind of people are confused in the world and they like easy solutions. They need a lens through which to see the world, right? So some people see the world through Israel. Everything is Israel. Israel's to blame for everything. And that's the cause of all the problems. And it makes their life simple. Like they understand what's going on in a wrong way, but they understand. And then there's the isolationist that's kind of a version that incorporates Israel into that worldview also, which is the idea that nothing around the world, if the U.S. just focuses on its own shit and just ignores everything happening in the world, there are no consequences to that. If somebody around the world wants to harm any American interest or any American person anywhere, the only reason they would ever do that is because America caused them to hate them, or because America sided with Israel and therefore they hate them, or something like that. It's another kind of very easy way to see the world. The world is everything that bad that happens in the world is because we got involved, so we need to never be involved in anything, and then all the problems are solved. That's the thing. So Stay safe. Hugs from Brazil, says Elina Oliveira. Thank you. But there could be conflicts in the Middle East, even if the USA didn't interfere. There are other reasons for that, of course. What I'm explaining is a very stupid, simplistic way of seeing the world that is false, but it makes life easy for people because they can like follow. They have a baseline through which they can see everything, right? So that's what's happening now with the Iranian these Iranian strikes, where, like I said, any reasonable person, if you didn't look at it through your normal isolationist or anti-Israel angle, you would see it's good for the U.S. because this is an adversary, enemy of the U.S., enemy of the state, right? Not the people, of all the U.S. allies in the region, Saudi Arabia, UAE, all of these. And they have a nuclear program that is threatening the order of the region, and you have someone else taking care of it for you. And you have to barely do anything. All you have to do is give them the green light, and people are complaining about this like it's a terrible thing because they have to see it through the angle of, Iran, we would have no problem with Iran if it weren't for Israel. We're getting involved in Israel's wars. We're getting involved in wars. Like that. People are stuck in that mindset, so they can't evaluate each situation differently. Yeah? So they can't evaluate this situation differently from a full-blown U.S. invasion of Iraq, which is like a completely different thing to what we're seeing now. And that would be terrible, you know? Or the U.S. now putting boots on the ground and getting bogged down in something. That's not what's happening either. So I'm just saying people are stuck in their ways, and they like to see things through a very specific angle, and that's it. Are you currently in Israel? Cheers from Scotland. Yeah, I'm in Israel. I've been talking about the war that's going on. Albanian farmer, I would recommend you and Saluki to visit Bitola in Macedonia. There's a lot of history about the Macedonian Jews who were transported to Treblinka. Oh, I didn't know about that. A history about the Macedonian Jews who were transported to Treblinka. I didn't know about that. Okay, well, you can send me a message on Instagram about that if you want. So, yeah. But a lot of these dumb people, you see them on Twitter, right? You have to be inoculated in a certain way on Twitter for... Did anyone see on Twitter like an expose of the interview between Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz? I don't know if you guys saw that. So for those who don't know, Ted Cruz is a senator in the U.S. Senate. And Tucker Carlson is the most famous, most influential isolationist journalist, yeah? So a Republican Trump supporter who, basically kind of sided with Russia in the war there, always says the U.S. shouldn't be involved in anything outside its own borders, and et cetera, et cetera. So he sat down with Senator Cruz, and then like they started to talk, and then all of a sudden he like throws at him like, "What's the population of Iran?" And Cruz is like, "Well, I'm not exactly sure." It's like, "You don't know? You don't know the population of the country you want to bomb? You don't know the population of the country that..." And he really is like trying to get him in a gotcha moment. And he says, so then he said, it's 92 million. He said, okay, fine, I didn't know, but I thought maybe it might be 90 or 100 or 75 and everything. And it's like, what's the ethnic makeup of Iran? Tell me, what's the ethnic makeup of Iran? And then he's like, well, it's like 50% Persian, and most of them are Persians, and they have some others. And he's like, you don't know the ethnic makeup of Iran? You don't know the ethnic makeup of you don't know anything about this country that you want to attack. You don't know anything. And it was just so ridiculous. It was like this straw manning quiz environment of gotcha. You don't know anything what you're talking about. Iran, we don't know anything about Iran. And you just want to warmonger in Iran. And it's just so stupid, you know what I mean? Without knowing the exact population of Iran or the exact ethnic makeup of Iran, it's enough to know that they're heading the Shia axis in the Middle East. And they've been, fomenting, they've been arming all kinds of groups throughout the Middle East, like Hezbollah and Houthis and all this stuff, which is a source of extreme angst amongst all the U.S. allies, and they're building a nuclear weapon, and they say death to America and Israel. That's not enough to you? Like, you have to know the exact population or ethnic makeup of everyone. And like, it's just this attempt to not apply critical thinking, actually, to the situation and kind of understand. And also understand the reality about the world that, Not everyone is nice and has good intentions or will change through negotiation. To be fair, Jews and Muslims have been living side by side through history. Yeah, but under Muslim rule. That's kind of the part that people forget. So they say, look, Jews, you could repeat that lie to yourself, but nobody cares about nonsense here. I don't know which lie this, but the thing of Jews and Muslims living side by side is a very problematic thing that a lot of people are saying, because what happened is Jews lived as dhimmi, as a subjugated minority inside Muslim and Arab empires. They didn't live side by side as equals. They lived as a subjugated minority and a discriminated minority often. And that's a very different thing. And that's why it so frustrates them that the Jews have a state in Israel, because it's like, oh, you have a place in history, which is to live under us as our subjects. But for you to have your own state, no. So again, does that mean that there nowhere in history were there Jews and Muslims who lived in the same town and got along? Of course there was. And not everything was bad. And I highlighted some of the good stuff in some of my videos. But I really hate when people like bring up this false history of Jews and Muslims living as equals peacefully throughout history, and then Zionism comes along and it ruins everything. It's kind of like just so exhausting to hear that argument again and again. It's like you have to set the history straight and the record straight, which is that Jews lived as a subjugated minority inside Arab and Muslim empires and entities. Now that the Jews have their own country and their own state, that's something that they're struggling to deal with from a theological and whatever cultural, historical perspective, and is a cause of much of the conflicts that we have. Cannot stress that point enough. The Macedonian Jews, for example, I'm a Macedonian, came from Spain in 1492. Macedonia was then under Ottoman Muslim rule. Fine, sure. Like in 1492, the Jews and Muslims were expelled from Spain, right? In the expulsion. And some of the Jews went to live in Muslim-controlled countries, like in Morocco and in places like Macedonia. Like that's fine. That also happened in the context of the war between the Christians and the Muslims. So the Muslims invaded Spain, and unlike the legends of Andalusia and the golden age of Spain and all that, basically it was a violent conquest. They conquered, they burned, they destroyed the churches, they took all the relics and all that, and then they subjugated the Muslims and the Jews under as dhimmis in their empire, in their Andalusian empire. And then you had the Reconquista, the Jews were stuck in the middle. There was also a thing of basically Muslims converting to Christianity and then still being Muslims. Same with Jews, right? Conversos. So you had Jews and Muslims who converted, but basically continued being in secret, like not Christian. So like this was the environment that the Inquisition happened in. Yeah, in the end, in the Reconquista, they're just like, okay, everybody out, and the Jews, some of the Jews were able to find refuge in these Muslim lands. It's true, but again, as a dhimmi, as a subjugated minority, which means that you have to pay the jizya, you have to pay the humiliation that comes with the jizya. So what a lot of people don't know is the jizya is like a special tax that you pay as a Jew or Christian in these Muslim empires. And it's a tax that is mandated by the religion and by the state, and it's specifically meant to humble you. And this is stated in like the Maliki school of jurisprudence, that was the controlling one in Spain back in the day. Like, so it's like it's a religious ruling that very clearly states that as a dhimmi, you are paying a tax in order to be humbled and to be reminded of your place, which is a lower status, as opposed to zakat, that sometimes you force people into zakat, like you force people to pay a zakat, which is like a type of social payment that Muslims pay, but that's because you're being a good, it's a way to help the community and stuff. It's not meant to humble you and remind you of your place. Jizya is. And then also the ceremony where you go to the leading, you go to whoever the authority is in your province or whatever, and you come with the bag of gold and you pay the jizya, you pay the tax, is often accompanied by a humiliation ceremony. So you have to get on the ground, and sometimes they slap you, and sometimes they humiliate you. It's a ceremony that's open to the public. So if the public has animosity towards like Jews, they can come and watch the humiliation ceremony. So this is like what dimitude and jizya is. Now, of course, it changes from place to place because you could have a local administrator who doesn't give an F about any of that stuff, and he's just like collects the tax. And one of the Jewish guys is a merchant, and they're friends and whatever. Like, so it's like any system. It's not always enforced completely, and it's not like nothing good can come underneath that system. But we have to remember the system that was in place. That's for me. It's like very important to understand that there's a difference between living as a subjugated minority inside an empire and being a self-determined people free in your own state. Those aren't the two same things. And a lot of the Muslims who are very pro-Palestinian, they kind of hijack that conversation in history in a bad way. So they falsely claim that the Jewish life in the Muslim lands was with no problems and no discrimination, and then use this false history in order to assault Israel and basically say Israel is the cause of all the problems between Jews and Muslims. And that really, really frustrates me when I see that nonsense, So like I play by ear, right? So if someone comes and talks coexistence and is in a positive is positive, then I'll be positive. Like fine, I'm willing to, I'm not gonna go and start attacking Muslims and Muslim history and whatever. Like I'll be like, oh, you see, like good, someone gives an example of good cooperation. I give an example of good cooperation. Someone says, oh look, we live together, we can live together, great, fine, I'm all for that. I'm not going to get into an aggressive rant for no reason. But if someone claims falsely that Jews and Muslims live as equals in this wonderful coexistence, and the only thing that's stopping the coexistence is Zionism, then I have to correct the person and fight fire with fire and say, excuse me, and then I have a lot of information to give about that. About the history of Muslims and Jews, and it's not that pretty a history, like unfortunately. So that's my thing. Like people who are positive, I remain positive. People who get into the negative, then I might get into the negative. That's kind of how I act, and yeah, it's just like unfortunate that this issue keeps coming up and again, this like talking point, and I just feel the need to constantly remind people that it's not a fair assessment of history at all. What is going on here? What did I miss here? In Macedonia was the Bulgarians that took the Jews. Okay. The Gaming Pixel says, I've heard a narrative about jizya was less in amount than zakat, but did not know about ritual. I don't know how constant the zakat was. I just know for sure that like Jews and Christians paid more than Muslims, with the jizya. But again, it's not like about how much money you pay, because that's a minor thing. Like all over history, some groups got taxed more. Like that's not that big a deal. But it's part of a system of like humiliation and subjugation. That's what's important to me. It's like a systematic thing, a systematic religious and governmental thing. So it's not just one administrator decides to mess around with the Jews and Christians. It's like mandated by the religions. Like you will humble them and you will this. And that's very relevant for those who bring up the history. Is US on your traveling list again? Maybe. We'll see about the US. Swedish Girls on Adventure says, I also wrote a comment on the Serbian Jews and history. Did you see it? No. Ola Bengston, are you afraid of going around the world being a Jew? I mean, Israeli more, right? I mean, Jew also is kind of like a bit, depends where, but Jew I mean, Israeli, it's like, there are a lot of places where it's a problem. Wait, so just back to this thing about Macedonia, you said the Bulgarians took in the Jews after 1492. Okay, yeah, I mean, like, I need to look into that. There was also the Ottoman, I know there was an Ottoman Sultan who took in a bunch of Jews from Spain, and he said, oh, these Spanish kings are so stupid because they're giving me all these Jews who are, contributing to our economy and whatnot, and like, whatever. And like, he's being the Christian king is being really stupid that he's not taking advantage of this resource. Yeah, that was also part of the thing about in the Muslim empires, why you would ask, like, why did they even keep the dhimmis in the first place? I mean, you can say it's because of tolerance, which there might be some form of tolerance to people of the book, because other people they would forcibly convert, you know. But a lot of it is just because you often had like pretty wealthy communities that you could tax. You can sit on that system and tax it, which is a very profitable way of going about administrating, you know. It's kind of like, think about what the Spaniards did in South America with the Incas. They just sat on top of a very productive society with all the gold that they were mining and all the foods that they were growing. So you just sit and you tax. It's like that's more profitable than just exterminating or forcing into whatever. Keep the system in place, and then, you know. Someone says hello from Czechia. Great. Need to make some videos from Prague for sure. Martin Michechia. I am Muslim from Macedonia. All I have heard historically that all groups live peacefully together. Well, look, I don't know the history of Macedonia enough, right? So what I'm saying might not be true in Macedonia. So like take that with a grain of salt, you know. I know in the Ottoman Empire in general that those were the conditions. It's possible that in different provinces it was different, and it's also possible that it wasn't enforced that strongly. So that's another thing. Like, so it's possible that the Ottoman Empire had dhimmi, okay, we have Muslims, and then we have dhimmis, which is Christians and Jews, and you have to pay the jizya, and you have to humble them, and then like in certain parts of the empire, they didn't do that because whatever, they didn't believe in it, or they didn't feel like it, or because they were more tolerant. I don't know. So that's like the point that I'm careful about in making, and saying like, like Jews, of course, Jews and Muslims can live together, and it's happened throughout history. And where it was good, and in times that it was good, we can for sure take inspiration from that and live together in the future as well. But just kind of like be careful from giving an over rosy picture, that's all. Try for answering my questions. Nomad, have to go to sleep for playing tennis. Best sport in the world. Okay, you said try Ustashas. We're Croatian. Tie for the answer. Wait. Who persecuted the Jews in the Balkans? Croatia. Okay. Bye, chat. Bye, hard candy. Sorry for not answering all the questions. All right, guys, Yusuf, Israel, and the Great. Why don't you stop insulting each other and, just chill out and enjoy the stream. Dude, I haven't done anything. Okay, then Yusuf, I don't know, whatever. I'm seeing bad vibes in the chat, so sorry, just chill, everyone. It's all good. Makonnen says, I read in the War of 1948 they could attack with all, but they didn't because the king saw the Israeli state as a good thing. Which king are you talking about? Albanian farmer says, as far as I know, my grandfather told us that the Ottoman Empire didn't force us to become Muslim. My family decided to become Muslim and fled from Greece to Macedonia. By the way, I'm Albanian from Greece. Okay. Balkan history, guys. It's really complex. I need to do some reading up on that, huh? Yeah, I think, when did they come? I think they came in like the 1400s. I remember when I was in Albania, when I was in Berat, you know, I showed some, or also when I was in Tirana, some of the mosques, like the old mosques that the Turks built when they arrived there in the 1400s. And yeah, like a lot of people converted to Islam, but some didn't. And then you had, like in Yugoslavia, this mixed mash of different groups, right? So yeah, I mean, it's like a very complex region, isn't it? So the Gaming Pixel says the Quran says to humble them, which seems to leave it open to interpretation. That's likely why some rulers enforced jizya with harsh rituals, though not all did. Yeah, see that would make sense. So the Gaming Pixel, so like the example I gave, because I read recently a book about Spain that kind of talks about like the myth of the golden age in Spain, where everyone, you know, lived in perfect harmony, which wasn't exactly true. And, you know, there the author gives an example of the Maliki school, right? Because in Sunni Islam there are 4 schools. There's Maliki, Shafi, Hanafi, and Hanbali, right? So the Maliki school was the one that ruled in Spain. So they had jurors or rulers. I think one of them was Maliki himself, right? It's named after the person. And he said specifically that jizya is there to humble the dhimmi and whatever. So in that case, it was true because they were following his school, right? Like I don't know what some Hanafi or Shafi jurist said about how to do jizya in Macedonia. I have no idea. So like I can't I can't claim to know that. You know what I mean? So, but I just know that there are examples. I just gave an example where it's pretty clearly that. So, yeah. Alex, shalom, hello, and everyone. Also, good evening. Where is Coco Girl? Have you been in touch with her? Buy Israeli stocks. It's a great investment. Yeah, I talked with her a little bit. I mean, let's see, maybe if I can do a collab with her or something. I don't know. But she's here in Israel for now, and she's working on her stuff, and there'll be some surprises from Coco Girl. I know what she's up to. I'm not gonna say what though, because, leave the surprise and the suspense. The Great says Muslims in the Balkans are generally Hanafi, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. All right. Well, let's drop the subject of the Muslims and Jews in the Balkans because I think we spent like 15 minutes talking about it, and I have to read up more about it before I say any more. Bro, you're funny. Yeah. What about Oriane? Hope she's fine. Yeah. So she's doing a live stream now. I saw on her page that she's doing a live stream at 11 o'clock today. Yeah, you should check that out as well after I'm finishing here soon if she's still live streaming. Maybe I'll even hop into her live stream and say hello. You know? Hakan Shaklu, we love Israel from Kurdistan. We got someone from Kurdistan. That's cool, man. Hakam Shaklu. Have you been to Montenegro? I made one video from Albania, Montenegro. It's called Searching for the False Messiah. Maybe I should rebrand that video or put a flag in there or something. I don't know. Interesting video, yeah? Bro, stop ignoring the question. Do you agree with all that Israel's... I don't agree with all that Israel's doing, but I think that, if you're talking about the war in Iran, I think kind of like Iran forced Israel into this by calling for Israel's annihilation, pursuing a nuclear weapon, and getting very close to it right now. So in that sense, yeah, I think it's the nuclear program needs to either be destroyed or they need to dismantle it under international supervision, or a deal with the U.S. and or regime or the Islamic Republic falls. Those are all things I think worth fighting for. I mean, depending on how realistic they are to achieve, yeah. I'm from a city near Bitola. We still have some traditions from the Jews, such as challah bread, Ladino music. You could visit Bitola and Thessaloniki in Greece. That's cool. In Ethiopia, do people embrace Judaism? I mean, there were kingdoms there in the 1500s, and a lot of people convert. So there are still a lot of Jews in Ethiopia, in Gondar, and places like that. When I was in Ethiopia recently, I made one video with the Jewish community. I couldn't go to Gondar because it's a war zone, unfortunately. A lot of the Ethiopian Jews are now in Israel. But like Ethiopia has an interesting Jewish history. They also had like a Jewish queen there named Gudit, or something like that, who fought like with the Christians or something. So, it's like part of the history there. And we have a lot of the Ethiopian Jews are now here in Israel, which is cool. I'm just gonna charge my computer here before it turns off. There we go. We are charging. You're funny, bro. Honestly, the best virtue. The Triad Broker in North Carolina. Stay safe there. I have been following you and Aline to see what all is going on there. Aline? Which Aline? Dear Aline? Like Nas Daly's Dear Aline? That's the only one I can think of. Someone else said, thank you for all you do. I saw you on I-24 News doing a remote, and I was I know that guy. Yeah, so if you guys go to I-24 from like 3 days ago, they live streamed their whole broadcast, which was like 7 or 8 hours, and I did a report also from that where my video was, yeah? So I don't know if you guys have started to look for that, but you can see my reporting as a reporter. I prefer if you watch my videos though, so I'm not going to link it. If you're determined enough to find it, you can look for it. I watched your video today, says MT. Thank you. I love Kurdistan. All right, history with Aline. Okay. Wait, what is history with Aline? Oh, is that also the... Wait a second. Who is this? No. Wait. Israel with Aline. Who the hell is this? I never heard of her. Wait, is this the Brazilian one? Okay. What did Jesus really... Oh, damn, she's making a lot of... Yeah, it's all whatever, like... all these content creators, Jesus, it's endless. I watched your video on Haifa 10 times. Very brave of you to cover the impact site. All right, thank you. Someone says, do you think the U.S. will intervene? I don't know. Right now, I think they're kind of sitting in a comfortable situation where Israel is doing the work for them. The Trial Broker. I watched your video earlier. Very good content. Thank you. Thank you. Someone here says something about the West Bank settlements. What's your take on the West Bank settlements? I mean, like, I don't agree with this occupied Palestinian territory concept. I think Israel captured that territory from another illegal occupier, which was Jordan back in the day. So Israel has a claim. I think the best way to settle that border is through a negotiation with the Palestinians. That was tried and failed, but that doesn't mean that in the meanwhile, what's best for Israel is to go to hilltops in the West Bank and build whatever, encampments and stuff. Especially when the people who are doing that are often quite extreme, like followers of Ben Gvir and things like that. So I'm not a particular supporter of that movement. But I also think that like the idea that that is kind of what's causing all the wars is also very narrow-minded and incorrect. That's kind of like what our friend the Saluki does, right? He goes in the West Bank and he shows, oh, look, this happened, that happened, this happened, that happened. Israel's evil. This is why the Palestinians hate Israel. And it's kind of like, no, that's not the reason, but, you know, there's certainly things going on there that I don't agree with. Do you think that people pay attention to your war because you are a Jewish majority state or because you are an important country? Other argument, perhaps. Yeah, I mean, that's, do you think people pay attention to your war? Look, the whole Israel, I mean, part of it is the Muslim world has an obsession with Israel. And then through that also, it's always on the news and stuff, and other people have an obsession with Israel. So like this conflict has just become like popcorn conflict, right? Like some conflicts are in the public eye and some are not. This one is. And, you know, it takes a lot of attention away from other places. Like, for example, you have these people who complain all day about how Israel treats Christians, but then, like in the Congos, they beheaded 70 Christians in a church, and like it got like one paragraph in the news, and everyone moved on. So that's an example of, you know, the news cycle is somewhere, and that's where people go, where the news cycle is, which is Israel always. What about the hostages? Yeah, I mean, we forgot about them with the whole war with Iran, but they're still there, obviously suffering, so I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with them. I mean, obviously the goal is to bring them back and also to, you know, end the Hamas threat from Gaza. I don't know if you can achieve those two things. I think if Hamas are anywhere near defeating Gaza, they'll execute the hostages or something. Very difficult situation that we've covered many times. I can't get into the whole Gaza situation again. All right, I think I'm getting really, really tired, as you can see. Let's wrap up our poll. When will the war end? 1 month, 36%. 1 week, 32%. 1 year, 31%. Alec, you look dashing in your suit news channel. Yeah, but I wasn't in a suit the other day. I was just wearing a t-shirt. Yeah, the trial broker says take care. And you're you know, anyone who saw my video today and reached my channel that way, then know I do live streams with updates of what's going on, and also you can watch some of my other videos from Israel to get a better understanding of what Israel's like, not just during wartime, but in general. So yeah, I really hope you guys stick around for some of the other content as well, if you're new to my channel. Bavaten, I just got here. When do you think the war will end? Well, we just did a poll, which is 1 month, 1 week, 1 year. I'd probably lean more towards somewhere between 1 week and 1 month, I think, is my guess. But we'll see. I don't think this war is going to drag on that long. That's my personal opinion. But depends what, like, under what conditions. All right, guys. I think we're going to wrap it up. I want to say huge thank you to the big contributors today with Anna, Unknown, Swedish Girls on Adventures, sent a really generous contribution. So thank you so much for that. Brian as well sent a contribution, so I want to say thank you for that. And there was one other person, I forgot who it was, but I don't see that person in the chat anymore. Yeah, anyone who contributed, I want to say thank you very much for contributing to my channel. What's your bunker snack? I don't bring snacks into the bunker. Timia Varju sent forints. Oh, Hungarian. I didn't know we had a Hungarian here. All right, well, thank you very much for that, and can't wait to visit Budapest again. Been there many times in Hungary, but it's been a while since the last time, like 4 years ago, 2021. So thank you for that contribution so much. And yeah, for everyone who joined this live stream, and those who support the channel, even if you don't, I can't send money, I have only cash money. Yeah, if you can, it's fine. Anyone who can't support me financially, then just, you know, like the videos, watch them all the way through, share them with your friends, that's as good a way as any to help the channel grow, and I appreciate that as well. So thank you, everyone. And yeah, that's all. Do you think they would kill Khamenei? Last question by Bivatan. I don't know. It's on the table. I'm not sure. It would be better if like the regime was just crippled and fell apart, and Khamenei was abdicated or executed. I don't know. I think Israel actually knocking off the supreme leader of Iran could have some bad consequences down the line. So I'm not sold on that one. I think Israel can do it. I'm not sold that it's the right move. So yeah. Thank you everyone, and I will keep posting updates. Thank you. I didn't know we had a follower from Hungary, Timia. Very nice to meet you. Thank you so much for that contribution. And Swedish girls, of course. One strong. Thank you, Alex. Sleep well. Your video journalism is fantastic. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you, and I'm gonna keep making videos for you guys from Israel. Bye bye.